Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the special board meeting for the Board of Education with regards to dealing with our K-5 facilities. So first, it would be Brennan, could you call the roll?
Mr. King?
I'm here.
Ms. Reese?
Present.
Ms. Sebastian?
Here.
Mr. Elam? Here. Ms. Mansfield?
Here.
All right, excellent. So at this time, I would like to turn the meeting over to Superintendent Firks, as also our Facilities Committee Chairman, to take over the meeting.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Board of Education special meeting for Thursday, February 11th. We are going to talk about options in regards to the K-5 building. At this time, I will turn it over to Ms. Laura Little from Gardner Miller.
Thank you. I also have with me Hannah Holtzapfel and Eric Baltzell. We're going to be walking you through the design for the exterior of the building. Whoever is operating, can you give Hannah control?
Okay.
Can we just note that today's date is Tuesday, February 16th for somebody that listens to this in the future?
Yeah, I normally do that in the very beginning. Thank you, Julie.
I think Justin said Thursday the 11th or something.
Yeah, it's February 16th.
Am I able to share my screen, Laura?
So I just made you host. They made me before I could say it.
There.
So just starting off here, what you've seen before, now you're seeing that we've got the interior walls that we had hidden the last time we were talking just about where the locations of everything was. We do have walls starting to get some doors in there now as well. But what we really wanted to focus on today was the exterior of the building. So the very center again is your center core spaces with your student dining, gymnasium, your administration area, media center. Off to the right-hand side, the north side then is your K-1-2 pod, art and music areas. And then towards the left side then, on the south is your third grade wing, and then goes into the pod with fourth and fifth grade. So just kind of reorient you there.
Do you want to start off by showing the materials, or do you want me to go to the Endscape?
Let's go to the Endscape first.
All right.
So now it's time to show that how that comes up in 3D, and then we'll be able to walk around the entire space. So again, that center area there is your main entry where the students would be coming in. We can start there. We try not to go too fast. We don't want anybody to get, a little sick here as you're looking at it.
So I guess
Go ahead, Hannah.
I was just going to say our main goal with this design was to honor the existing elementary school while still complementing the middle school and high school. So you're going to see multiple elements that are inspired from the existing elementary school, but try to keep the materials more focused to complement the middle high school. So if we want to zoom in here, this is the main entry.
So looking at trying to get that, that look of the 3 columns, the 3 archways that you have currently, looking at bringing in materials of brick here at the main entries, your focal areas is where we were looking at providing brick, and then moving away from that elsewhere, just because brick does tend to be expensive. So then underneath, the bands underneath then, looking at trying to bring in some other materials like a split face block or a smooth faced block material. Do have some coins. The coins you have are not this shape, but trying to bring in your Bethel hive again, kind of updating it a little bit there. Your existing buildings have multiple colors of windows, but on this building, we were really wanting to look at the bronze anodized. That's that darker, almost looks black. So this is the main entry that we just passed by. To the right-hand side was your administration area. So they have large windows, views out towards the entrance for the students from the parent drop-off. On the left-hand side then from the entry is the media center. So then when we start heading down towards the wings, kind of change the materials just a little bit, going into more split face block and a smooth face block. What we call it's a ground face block is the smooth face. So it kind of grinds off a little bit and you can see the, it kind of exposes some of the stone a little bit and then it's sealed. So then when we get down to the end of the pod here, also then trying to bring back in an element similar to what you have on the elementary, bringing in some brick, bringing in that limestone cap across the top, or a cast stone, which is a cast masonry product. Also looking at doing the push and the pulls of the reveals that the brick has on your existing building. Now on those pods there, you do see there's some upper windows. That clear story area, right now we're showing it as a ribbon window, which means one long continuous window. That could be broken up into punched openings instead of one long ribbon, but that's something that we're looking at right now. This is to get light down in your science rooms that you have down in the center core area of the pod. This is that outdoor or the extended learning area, that glass that looks into that, really adding some nice natural light into there. That could be a seating area just outside to extend your extended learning area even outside on nice days, not like today.
You turn the sun and brighten it up a little bit.
Daytime change.
We're also showing some metal panel up here at the ribbon window. We're showing it in like a really dark green color, just to kind of complement the green that's also on your middle school, high school, and bring in your school colors.
On the back side of the pods, kind of toned it down just a little bit, didn't do all of the ups and downs with the limestone, kind of simplified it just a little bit, but still have that same, a similar feel. Kind of keeping more of what you're spending your money on the front of the building. Also back here, looking at more split face block or ground face block. That overhead door that you're seeing there would be going into your central storage area. We're also going to have a mechanical yard out here, so you're going to have some screening. We'll have a dock back there as well. So there's some elements that we still need to work on back there. So this area back here behind the pod, we do need to extend that roof up just a little bit higher to get mechanical systems. There's a mechanical room back there. So that's where that is going to just connect right into that clear story area. And then was keeping the roof line high coming down this area so we can get mechanical systems down the corridor, down this 3rd grade wing, and to the kitchen area right here. So these 3 windows, we're looking at the kitchen area. And then this would be the view from the bus lot. This would be your main entry into your student dining space. So we're trying to really bring the focus right towards that area. Do have a canopy over there. Was trying to make it so it's not so dark. We're showing that we could possibly put a skylight right over that canopy. Try to keep it so it looks a little lighter. It doesn't look so dark. Punching in some windows here with the same feel that we have over at the elementary building. Also getting in some of those coins as well. Some limestone trim. Really trying to spend your dollars on very focused areas, just like that entry right there. This is the back side of the gymnasium then on the left-hand side. Kind of continuing that banding around from the canopy just to break up the elements because it is such a tall wall. We are showing some windows in the gymnasium right now. We have them on both the front side and on the back side. That will definitely be something that's discussed whether you do want daylight or don't into that space. And then over here is the K1-2 pod. Also that clear story area. We do need to pop up that roof right there for the mechanical system as well to try and get ductwork around to the other classrooms. And just to get the unit in the space too. They're pretty tall units. And then also on the back side of the pod here, just trying to bring in some same brick elements, give a little highlight to that area. You'll also see the ribbon windows down the side of the clear story area. And then we've got the kindergarten wing coming out here. And then bringing back around the front of the building. This front of the pod is basically identical to the other one. So the roofing materials that we were looking at right now is a roof membrane. They do come in something other than just white. You can get a slightly tan color, which is what we are showing right now. Then you can also get a dark green color, which is what we're showing up on the upper clear story areas. Something that we could get very similar to the metal panel color up there.
Oops. Sorry about that.
Whoa. On the upper gym area, we were looking at also some metal panels in a tan color. Do you want to bring up the picture real quick for the materials?
So this would be the color we're proposing for the cast stone limestone elements. This is the ground face material. This is the split face, the rough textured that was more the wainscot underneath the windows. This is the green metal panel. This is the metal panel around the gym. And then this one would be more for like coping caps or the fascia at the roof edge and gutter. And then obviously we would have a red brick that would complement what's on your existing building as well.
So we went through that really fast, but initial thoughts.
Can we
Laura,
just
this is,
oh, go ahead.
I really like the way you're incorporating the existing elementary elements and then also the colors. For the for the roof that you have that's not the green or the gym, is that roof going to be, that roofing material, is that like a membrane or is that like a metal roof?
Yes, it is a membrane roof. Yep.
Okay.
All of the roofing areas that we're proposing right now are a membrane roof.
Even the green area is a
Yes.
membrane?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
This is Caleb. Another question on the membrane. Is that going to be a TPO membrane or have you specified that yet?
We've used both TPO and PVC. That's something we just need to talk about.
Okay.
Okay, so this is Julie. And the roofing, the sloping, it's kind of hard to see. It looked like some of it was sloped, but will it all have that, the slope that you talked about, like an inch for every 12, or I forgot what it was. There was some ratio you gave us.
Mhm. Right. So right now, everything is sloped to a gutter, except for the area over the office and the media center. That area would be the only area we would look at possibly having internal drains. I know right now you have some issues where you have water draining to scuppers. And so we were trying to avoid that. Anywhere that we have water that could potentially get trapped, like behind, let's say, one of these pods where we have the parapet wall, we would increase the slope to get water to wick it away from any potential areas where water could get trapped. We will definitely increase that. Right now, all of the roofs are, other roofs are sloped at 1 inches it slopes down 1 inch every 12 inches, it goes horizontal. The more you increase that and you get a faster slope, 1 to 12 does drain water. The higher you go with that 1 to 12 makes, if you change that to a 212, of course, your ridge now just doubles in height from what it was at the 112. And it raises all of your steel and everything comes up higher. Your costs do increase. So for now, we were proposing a 112, trying to be very frugal with your dollars on the project. So that's where we were proposing a 112.
Okay. Thank you for that. I think anything's better than nothing, which is what we have now. And we have some leaks, and we've had leaks since before the building opened. So a couple other things. Can we just talk about well, this is a good question. I'm going to skip down to my other one. So you're showing the ribbon windows there across the top.
Mhm.
If they get broken, though, they're still individual, right? It's kind of hard to
Yes.
see in the little picture, but
Yes, they are.
there's no, okay. And then the green that you talked about on that roof, this is just a standard dark green. It's not Bethel green.
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, we were not going that bright Bethel green, definitely trying to take that a step down, make it deeper and darker. So it's actually pretty close from the sample that Hannah has. Like, this is pretty close. It almost from a distance could look black, but it's not, it's green. So as the light hits it, it's definitely going to look green.
Okay. Just so you know, one of the concerns from when the high school was built was there was like 40 different shades of green. So that's why I was just asking what kind of green that was. It's not the official Bethel green. So, and then one other question about the blocks. So you said there's a cost difference, like the split block and the ground block, I think you called it. So I'm assuming that it's cheaper to do those two than the brick.
Absolutely.
And is there any difference in like the quality or longevity? You know, what will happen as the building ages if we use those materials?
Brick has been around a long, long time. And it absolutely lasts, which is why it has still lasted on your elementary building. Concrete block is more porous. So yes, it can have some issues, but it's still being used a lot in Ohio. And it was still a good product. For your exterior facade, it will hold up. It is strong. You can get some efflorescence on block, but you can also get it on brick, which is the natural salts and the product coming out kind of creates some white streaking.
So do you have any history? Is that me echoing? Do you have any numbers like history of, you know, say 50 years from now, will we be okay using these materials?
I don't necessarily have anything, no.
Okay.
I'm sure the Concrete Masonry Association does.
Will it need to be sealed
The
periodically?
the ground face block will be sealed. It'll have an integral sealer in it already as it's made, and then it also has a topical sealer applied to it. You can seal them, continue to seal them. The manufacturer for the the ground face block says that you do not have to. Some choose to continue to do so. I know it does help if you have any graffiti issues. By sealing it, it would help to be able to take it back off.
Thanks.
Rick took my ceiling question, but my other question is, you had mentioned about the windows in the gymnasium and that we would have to have that discussion later about whether we would have them or not have them for natural light. But can you talk to me about storm sensitivity and how that affects the security, I guess, of the building in a storm, windows versus not windows? What kind of impact that has?
So all of the windows will comply with Ohio code. I can tell you that.
Which I believe means that they'll sustain over 100-mile-an-hour winds, I think is Ohio's key element for our area. Sorry, Lori.
Hannah, can you go back around? I'd like to see it kind of from the stadium angle, which is kind of I'm trying to think which corner. Keep going the way you were. No, other way. Other direction, Hannah. It's on the back, I think.
She's going to just make us go right over it.
Okay, we're gonna fly over it. Great. Yes, this corner, but the corner. Then I want to see, because I want to see it kind of zoomed out and see what it looks like from the stadium. I really like what you've done with the bricks and the roofing. It's very pleasing. My first thought when I saw it, maybe this is not the right thing to say, but I thought of a tennis court, because that's kind of the colors that it brings out, the red and the green and the white, at least the tennis courts I played on as a kid. So, but I like what you've done with the brick facing, trying to keep the costs in line, but still preserve our traditional structures. And can you kind of take it back through that corner here? Because the stadium's a little bit farther. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's probably good.
Yep. Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, Laura, it's Todd. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey, just quick question. I did a job at Dayton Christian when they added their gymnasium. They actually used a product. I don't know. It was Drive It. It looked like brick. You couldn't tell it wasn't brick. I don't know. I'm just curious if you guys have ever done anything like that before. And I don't know, like, longevity, but it's pretty sharp looking, and you couldn't tell it wasn't brick. I thought it was brick, but it wasn't.
And Hannah, do you remember, is that even back in the OSDM yet? It's-
I don't know. It wasn't for a while there.
Right. So that was a product that we were allowed to use a long time ago. OFCC took that out of their design manual and said that we're not allowed to use that as a product. And so we haven't used it for a very long time. I'll have to check to see if it's even something that we're allowed to use anymore.
Well, I know this product was vastly improved from Drive It. I mean, it's something new. I mean, that Dayton Christian job, year and a half ago, maybe. But I'm just curious. I mean, like I said, you would have thought for sure it was brick, but it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks. Hey, it's Todd again. One other question. So where the metal panels are, where that membrane roof meets, and the only reason I'm asking this, and Julie maybe referred to it, we've definitely had some leaks, and one of the areas we've had leaks in the new high school is where we have that parapet wall with the windows to light up the Bethel Hall. I guess typically that membrane roof is that rolled up back behind the metal panels? I mean, how's that finished? Because yeah, like I said, we've definitely had some issues in the high school with similar setup.
Absolutely. And we've had some projects where even though we take it up the standard 1 foot dimension that you bring it up, and then we bring the siding down over that, is water, when we get our large snowfalls, and that water in that snow is just, collecting and collecting and collecting, does it weep behind that siding and get underneath? We've talked about increasing how much that membrane wraps up on that back wall before you put siding over it.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that's the first thing when I saw those raised roof, I'm like, oh, places for leaks. So.
Yep, anywhere that there's a connection.
Yep.
Laura, can you talk? We kind of went a little bit quickly from the which grade levels are in which place. Now that we're on this view, can you kind of discuss like where kindergarten is compared to like the higher grades versus cafeteria and gym and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. So in that center area, again, is the main entry. To the left of that is the media center. And going straight back then is the student dining. The 3 punched openings that you see to the right is the gymnasium. And then in front of that is the office area. So when a parent comes in, coming into that main entry, they would get trapped in that vestibule area, get kicked over into the office area before they could go anywhere else in the building. The younger grades are to the right. And then that kindergarten wing is down there at the very end. Back at the main entry then, going left, that is your 3rd grade wing. And then 3rd grade going down into the pod with 4th and 5th grade.
Thank you very much. I know for many of our people in the community, they're just seeing this for the very first time, and most of us as well for the very first time. It's just handy to let them see that. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Laura, Julie again, with this view that's sitting there now, the gym has windows, but the dining does not. What was the reasoning there? Dining
So
Yep.
So the gymnasium is wider than the student dining. And so on this face, we don't have any windows here because it's really the corridor. Granted, we could add some windows and make that come up really high, but these are elementary students in here, and just getting that tall for elementary students gets out of proportion, I feel. So here, I mean, we could always add the look of windows, but it's not windows, and add some spandrel glass, which is blacked out glass. So it looks like there is. I don't know that we were kind of discussing whether it's there or not. Not sure that it has to be there. But here on the student dining, that's where we're going to have those large windows on the west side to bring in that natural daylight.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Laura, this is Jacob. I have a couple of questions that I'm seeing on YouTube that I thought I would bring up. The first one is from Carrie Hahn, and it is, will the lower pitched roof be able to handle a significant snow load?
Yes.
Okay. And then Cloud Z wanted to know, why is the building so spread out? It seems like we're taking up more space than we need to be. And I think that probably goes back to the discussion on why are we going out in footprint versus going up and taking up less footprint, maybe, I guess, in regards to like a 2-story versus this 1-story layout. As I'm guessing that's what he was looking for, or she.
Justin, do you want to take that one?
We, during our discussions with the teaching staff throughout the schematic design process, the staff had indicated overwhelmingly that they would prefer to see a 1-story building, especially with the younger children age group wise, and eliminating the amount of times that they're up and down steps. I do also know that once you have a 2-story building, with new designs, you're going to add an elevator, which would also increase costs with corridors, not only elevator installation, but elevator maintenance on a regular basis. And then finally, the district has been fortunate enough to finalize the completion and purchase of the remaining acreage of land that was bought 20 years ago. And so with the additional 160 acres, the district feels like we're in a good spot to not only build this K-5 building, but also potentially add an additional building on site with CFAB if the district so chooses to add an additional building on the current site. Also add in potential future facilities with athletics, auditorium, and then also the addition of our current stadium, football stadium and track and field complex as well.
Hey, Laura, this is Caleb again. It looks like where the media center is, the roof has a different color there. Is that skylights or what is that?
Oh, yes. So we do have, right when you come in the main entry, we do have a cross corridor there between the corridor that's right in front of the student dining and the gymnasium, and then the corridor as you're coming in. We're trying to highlight that area. And so we do have a skylight right there at that location. Try to bring in some natural light right at that main entry.
So Laura, this is Jacob. And if they would stop moving, as we look, if she can, with the picture, move forward just a little bit, and then that's good. And then look a little to the left. Is that wall? Yeah. So you have the brick, but the wall that's going back in to make that L has that lighter color. Is there 2 different colors there? Is that one wall a little darker than the back wall?
So those are the 2 materials. The one is that split face color, and then the other one's that ground face. making up that color that's above and below the windows.
So will they be those two different colors, or will
Yeah.
or you're giving us those color mixtures to take a look at, I guess?
We were proposing two different colors there, the two different products being slightly different in color as well. Hannah, do you want to go back to that picture real quick? So the one on the right there is the split face. And then the one where you can kind of see more of the chip color, that's the ground face product. That would be above and below the windows. And then the cast stone color would be your window sills.
Okay.
What about the wall to the left of the one you were just talking about? Is that a darker, or is it just the way the picture is?
So on this face, we were kind of looking at possibly bringing in yet another color, something go a little bit darker on the top side. So that bottom color would still be that same split face color that we've looked at, but we haven't found one in the samples that we have yet that we liked. This could always go back to the same color and just be one color all the way up. But we wanted to see if we could find some samples of something that we like and just propose a flip-flop of the colors to get a little darker color on top.
And that's the tan you were saying before? Is
The
that
tan one is the one on the bottom.
Okay.
On top is the color we don't have a sample for.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it almost seems to me that, I mean, it looks really great, Laura. Why wouldn't we just continue kind of that same look all the way around with that wainscot? As you see on that left, as it's running around the sides, instead of putting that material on the top and the bottom of those windows in that center section there, versus just maintaining that same kind of look. Is that because it's a nice breakup and
Absolutely.
adds to that?
Yeah, when you get a building that's so long, it just starts to look even longer if you don't break it up with some different panels. And the panels that we were looking at above and below is similar to what is on your elementary building as well, with having the panels above and below the windows.
Okay, yeah. One of the questions from Bren Cox, kind of like, if safety is being considered for the students, why are they putting full glass panels in the hallways when there's not a door? So I'm thinking on the sides of those pods and the end caps, there's those full panel windows as we continue on around. And I think it's going to be right in this enclosure. Yep, right there.
Oh, yeah, one of those would be a door. One of those panels that you see there would be a door.
Okay.
Sorry, what was the question again? Looking for egress?
No, I understand letting in light, but I think safety should be a priority. I guess looking at the windows as a safety risk or a concern.
There are laminated films that can be applied to the glass as well, if safety is a concern, just as an option. We usually do that at secured entries as well.
We have applied those security films to our current windows last school year.
And I think too, if we looked at our multi-tiered approach to school safety and security with our camera systems and what we could be looking at in the future with the design elements on the interior, but as well as looking at the exterior zones for monitoring approaches to the school, utilizing that safety film, which is one of the items that is considered an appropriate safety practice on those windows, that we'd have significantly reduction in risk to somebody going to that side window. So from that. And then in regards to the person that's Bongo Sauce TV on YouTube, we were not here when they built the old building or did the additions to the old building. So I cannot speak on behalf of the school district or the board or the administration at the time that those decisions were made. And we really can't fix the past. So we're focusing on the future and what we're trying to develop and focus on for our students, staff, and community is, the current project we have at hand, as well as the future projects that will be coming forward. So I hope that answers your concerns.
This is Julie. I'd just like to add to that. We have the same question, by the way. It would have been probably a good planning measure to have done that. But as Jacob said, hindsight, and we weren't there at the time. So good question, but nothing we can do about it now, right?
Yes. Laura, one of the things that was brought up was, would you be able to enclose maybe those areas that's outside those windows and doorways to possibly have like an outdoor area such as a garden or fenced-in area from Miss Barnhart?
It could be, if that is a concern of the school district, to have that area more enclosed. We don't have drives right up next to this area. The parking areas, which we're not looking at today, the parking areas are towards the east side for the parent, and then on the west side for the bus. So there is a drive along here, but really no place to stop, get out, park, anything like that. That's going to start causing some red flags to go up if somebody sees something happening like that on camera.
Okay.
What about having the bottom half of those? I don't know how high the windows are. Could the bottom half be solid and the top be the glass, which would still let light in, but maybe answer some of the security concerns?
And we can look at frosted films as well. Yeah.
Ms. Stevenson, as your question was, do the classroom students have 2 exit options in case of a fire or other emergency? We haven't really dove into the entire interior complex of the K-5 building. We're currently just looking at the exterior, the roof lines, and the materials for the exterior of the school. From that, but as Laura has briefed us in the other facilities meetings, is that they are in compliance. They're obviously going to build the classrooms in compliance with the Ohio Fire Code and the Ohio Facility Construction Commission requirements, which I believe requires that. And there's a couple of pieces that depends on the size of the classroom and what it's going to be used for. So I wouldn't say every classroom or every room would have that, but the majority.
I'll go one step further.
Yeah.
That yes, every classroom, once you get out of your classroom, there will be 2 means of egress.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Jacob, in referring to the question concerning the enclosed space outside, we already have those over here in the new high school. And they're very little of the time used, if at all, and somewhat difficult to maintain. Weeds and so forth.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that as well. That's a great point, Mr. Elam, as we see with our current facilities and how we've seen some of the difficulties there. Justin, are you able to see the comments, and wondering if you would be able to review the one from Dana Conley, I believe is how it's said.
I have to move forward. My eyes must be getting bad. So it's in regards to space and the distance from left to right. If all hallways were front to back, the front current would be much smaller and less expensive. Does anybody understand what that means?
I'm guessing she means more of a square design rather than a long skinny rectangle. That's just my guess.
I mean, if she's out there, if you could send another message and kind of clarify that, we could try to ask Arvin Miller for some explanation.
Possibly the pod concept too.
Well, that, and I think too, if you just look at the building, it looks like we just have some really long open hallways there. And opening up to the two, you have the center building, long hallways, and then the other outside buildings. Great picture. Thank you for putting that up. It kind of lays in that they're actually not hallways, but there's classrooms all the way down and around the entire space. So.
Well, and I think one of the reasons the design was done this way was to allow windows in every classroom. So that's a concern as well. Or most classrooms. I know there's a few in the middle that don't have windows.
Laura, I know I'm getting ahead of things here, but can you talk about landscaping and such, or when that kind of thing will be brought up?
So we're currently working on the site design, working on those sidewalks and entries and how we get to the parking areas. We're going to be working on that for the schematic design documents. Once we get the schematic design documents together, I think that at that time we'll do a page turn, go through the entire set of documents and look at those.
Thank you.
But specifically landscaping will not be we'll have like, here's planting areas where we intend to have some things like that, but plantings themselves and the selections will be closer to more of a design development item.
Okay.
And Laura, since we do have some people who probably haven't been on recently, could we show the layout with the parking areas and where the proposed bus parking and the playground are, just so people can see that?
Sorry, I don't have that prepared for tonight.
This is a special meeting, remember that too. So it's over the facade and all that. So if the community wants to know that have been here for the first time, there's previous YouTube videos that show that.
What's the area connecting?
And I would also add, even if you've downloaded the school app or go to the school's website, there is documents there that discuss a lot of what the facility committee has done leading up to this point, as well as what we've done in the layout and design. So there's a lot of those historical documents there to help explain many things.
Laura, what's the green spot connecting the gym and the cafeteria? The small green spot. Now, what
In between,
a light green
we have that one right there. That is the stage platform area.
Okay.
So it is double-sided to both the gymnasium and the student dining.
Okay. soon it can be closed off. Yes.
Anything else on the exterior facade that that we can highlight again for you and show you?
Or I agree with everybody that incorporating the feel of the old elementary school and the new high school. Done a very nice job there.
Thank you.
Laura, this is Jacob. Would there be, I know we're just kind of looking at this kind of exterior layout, but at that front main entrance, will there be any steps there? You know, as you're coming from the parking area or just
Nope.
right in the front?
No, we're trying to, I know that there's quite a bit of grade across the entire site, but we are trying to incorporate all that grade through the sidewalks so that we avoid any steps, so we don't have any ramps as well for ADA.
Thank you.
This is Todd. I'm glad to hear it because steps are not fun to clean the snow off, I can tell you. Thanks.
Todd, are you comfortable with the current proposed slope of the roof?
Well, yeah, like we talked to high school, there isn't a whole lot of slope. I mean, if we stepped it upwards, 2 would be even better, but I get it. Laura says there's more cost incorporated. I think the quicker we get the water off the roof, the better. But yeah, I think that's part of the problem with the current high school. There's a lot of places that water can stand, just not enough, slope to it.
Is there any way to get any slope around where that media center is and the admin area?
We can look at that. It's just, we were trying to get those gutters away from the face of the building. Just that very center area.
I personally would vote for getting rid of the skylights too. Those are typically rain leak disasters, especially over the long haul.
One other quick question on the roof side. The green or colored TPO or PVC style roofs, how do they look in 10 years?
So I'll have to ask how long that green has been around. And I can definitely get you some pictures of what those look like. I know that the white can look dirty, which is why we were trying to go with a little deeper color. So that way it's not that bright white that can have that look about it. But let us ask a sales rep if they have any pictures from 10-year-old, green roof.
Thank you.
I really like Danny said, and so many others have said, how you're hearkening back to our existing building and all of our existing buildings, the multiple additions and everything, and tying it together and making it look very Bethel. I think that's important to our community, and it's important to all of us. I think it really looks great. If you can remind me, because I don't think I ever really had a count, how many of our teachers and staff and community members, well, I think there were some community members as well, because our facility committee members were on it, participated in the comments and feedback and layout and design, and to get us to this point. Because I don't want people to feel like this just came out of nowhere and we said, hey, Garmin Miller, put this together for us. and it's just some random thing that happened. I want folks to understand that this really did come from the soul and heart of our district and our community.
Justin, would you like to take that one?
Yeah, so we've had a number of staff members participate throughout the process. We've had 3 educational visioning meetings that were held here on campus. Those staff members were made up of grade level team members from each of the grade levels in the elementary, K through 5. We've also had meetings with technology director as well, food services people, building administration. We've also had discussions with facility committee members, school board members, and they've also taken previous input that we've received from community forums and survey information that's been provided to them in the development of this design. So overall, with building leadership team and staff and administration, we've probably had upwards to 15 people within the elementary participate throughout these discussions. And we've also taken site visits to Greenville City Schools and also New Bremen local schools to take a look at school buildings as well.
I think it's just fabulous. I really do. And I appreciate all the work you did combining all that feedback, because I know how hard it is to take feedback from all those people and still try to make everybody happy. It's really, really difficult, but I like the outer facade. And I really do think that so far we're on the right track to having a really excellent looking building that really does match the rest of our campus very well. And I appreciate your efforts. Thank you so much. And everyone who's been involved.
Yeah, very excellent points. I was just laughing at smiling, I guess, at YouTube. Justin, one of the students said that my mom wants to know if we're having school tomorrow. Miss Roll chimed in very nicely. So,
well, I will be up bright and early checking roads, and we will have a decision on school by 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Fingers crossed.
thank you.
I think mine's getting canceled right now.
But I would not be shocked if we don't at least have a delay tomorrow. No promises though.
So currently, Ms. Stevenson's following along with us. And her next question was, how many additional classrooms will this give us versus, I'm guessing, versus what we currently have? For, I guess, the K-5. Layla, you're totally fine. You're not bothering us. Sorry.
Justin, do you remember that number? Is it 5 classrooms additional have right now?
Yes.
And it's 5 additional, and that's over what we're currently utilizing in the trailers. Is that correct? Or?
No, we're not counting the trailers in that number.
Okay. All right. So Laura, as we were looking back to the exterior, what will we, I guess, what are you looking for from the facilities committee, as well as, from the board as well, with regards to determining this concept tonight as we're having this meeting? So is it to be able to utilize the 3 different style of material in the roof lines, and, or, will we drill into, like, we can meet in person more into this is the exact brick, this is the split block, so you guys can see it. um, for that?
Yeah, so generally, just looking at an approval of the general overall feel for the facility, that we don't need to change to an asphalt shingle roof that needs at least a 3 or 412 height to it, that we're not using metal roofing panels for the roof, that in general, we're not trying to have the whole facade be all brick, exactly like the existing elementary. Again, just trying to keep the budget in mind with all of those decisions. I guess, just a general overall, are we going in the right direction before we get to schematic design at the end of this month?
Okay, yeah, thank you. It kind of, brings us into focus a little bit there. From that, I had another question in my mind, but I'll hold that to give it to Miss Sebastian.
Yes, I wanted to check without being as familiar with roofing structures and materials, what is our lifespan on a membrane roof?
I want to say 30 years. But let me check into that and I'll get back with you.
Okay, thank you.
That's typically what you see in industry.
I remember I was going to make a statement back to you, Laura, and that was in a quick Google search, and actually to the community, the split block style instead of the versus the brick was one of the positives, was that it actually is can hold more weight and is stronger than a brick. So for longevity and looking, I think one of the questions that maybe Lyda had asked for it, how sturdy it would be, is it is a pro to that style to be able to hold more weight and stronger than regular brick. And that was just me and Google. So
Is that split block or ground block or both?
I just did the split block.
They're essentially the same mixture. It's just how the face is treated.
Okay.
And then the number of classroom comes up a couple of times. Thank you, Ms. Roll, for answering a lot of those questions. But I'm sure as they're looking at the questions and saying, wait, we're only really ending up with only one more classroom than what we have now. Why do we have this number of classrooms? Would be, I think, the right question, right? Versus having more. Justin, did you want to take that?
Well, based the enrollment projections from the OFCC and the numbers that were provided from their prediction models is what our master facilities plan is centered around. So just a reminder, this is the first phase of the ELP process. Once our number comes back up in X number of years or CFAB, we can request an enrollment reprediction, so to speak, to see if the numbers are accurate or going to be inaccurate. At that time, with the CFAP, we have some flexibility depending upon those numbers. Of the next phase can be a wide range of school building models. And so I believe that our prediction models were in the mid 800s, upper 800s. And so we've decided as a district to add additional classroom space as part of our LFI, or locally funded initiative. So the current K-5 model, as you see on the screen, is built for 1,000 students. So we are essentially saying We do not think that OFC's numbers are going to be accurate, and we've added additional classroom space to accommodate for up to 1,000 students. How does that sound, Mr. King?
Sounds like you hit the nail on the head. The fact that we were only given so much money for square footage that the state says that this is how many classrooms you should have based on your enrollment and what they think our enrollment's going to be. So for us to stay financially responsible to the community with the dollars that we have, we had to go along with that state prediction model. And then through every available penny we had, it's one of the top priorities from our survey, was putting in additional classroom space. And so we threw a lot of extra local funded initiative dollars to bring as much additional space as we potentially could to the facility as it sits now. But part of those dollars were used to set this facility, this model up for expansion. Am I using the right term, Laura? Is it expansion, or is there a term to add on, maybe to set up for additions?
Right. We are looking at we are showing areas that would be, we're planning how you could potentially add on additional spaces in the future if needed.
Okay. Yeah. So we're putting that into the perspective of having that capability to expand. And so we put some dollars ahead of that now with the mechanical rooms and some of the spaces to allow for that additions to be added as we go into the future. Because we know, trying to look, as Julie always talks about, looking to the 50 years out from now, and trying to set ourselves up for success for future needs of the district. And so that's where we put any extra dollars that we had available was in that adding classroom space and the set us up for additions from that. So hopefully that answered your question. And I already know the answer to this one from Ms. Gross, and that is you will not be able to make this a two-story building. So we would have additions that would come off this one-story building. From the current concept that we have. And we also have said multiple times in previous meetings that we understand that we are potentially building a building, this K-5 building, to possibly by the time it's completed not have enough space for the number of students we have enrolled. And the reason for that is we're held to the dollars available and to our prediction numbers when we signed to the ELP program. So hopefully as we transition to the next phase with the CFAP program, if I said that correctly, where the state then provides the funding to build the remaining portions of our master plan, which would potentially include additions to this current K-5 building to help with our growth. It's very hard to predict growth. We have our idea, the state has its idea. And as we look to, that's why we tried to provide additional classrooms and set ourselves up for additions. Because as the fourth fastest growing school district in the state of Ohio, we don't know if we're going to grow faster than we've currently been growing, if it's going to slow down, or if it's going to speed up. So we're trying to do our best to get the appropriate square footage that we can, being fiscally responsible with those dollars so that every dollar counts to any additional projects, as well as being successful in what we have. And not go back to the citizens for additional dollars. So, we're on a great track right now to where we haven't had to ask for additional dollars to follow through with this program with our master plan. To the team here, right? What was the overall predicted project dollars for the entire master plan was 60 million, 80 million. As we looked at the K-5, the expansion, middle, high school building, because our percentage of the total dollar amount,
I think it was in the 60 range.
63 million, I think, was the amount.
all right, thank you. Yeah, so the total master plan was around 63 million based on the current state of Ohio growth predictions and what we would need. We feel once we convert over, we'll have another assessment done and to revalidate the numbers so that we can get the appropriate square footage for the remaining buildings and for any facilities that are undersized for the number of students that we have. And out of that 63 million, we haven't asked for any monies from the community at this point. So we think we're on a great track moving forward, not only for our community, but for the school district as well. I'll pause there for any additional comments or questions that anyone would have for Laura or the team.
Jacob, I don't have any more questions, but I wonder, it feels like we're kind of wrapping this up and wonder if we might take another visual tour around the building slowly so that everybody can look at it one last time. Laura, could we do that?
Yep, she's scrolling around.
Oh,
Yeah, that's on the way.
Oh,
So this is the 4-5 pod towards the south. Looking at the extended learning area there. We've got upper windows to the center classrooms there. Got to change the time. So then the backside, the west side of the building towards the stadium here. We've got an entrance from the playground area for the 4-5 pod here.
Hey, Laura, real quick, if she pauses, as we look at that pod, what's the difference in the kind of the larger windows versus the smaller windows that are right here on each side of that?
Yeah, we do have some restrooms right there. We added some restrooms on to the entries to both of the pods. The teachers asked for more restrooms. So here would be a nice way for when they come in, be able to access the restrooms right there before they go on to the rest of into their classrooms. So still trying to get some natural daylight. It is up high.
Thank you. Great explanation.
So then the overhead door there, that is to the central storage area, and there'll be a dock back here, mechanical yard. There will be a fenced in enclosure around all of that equipment back there. Windows here into the kitchen area. And then this is the main entry from the bus area, main entry into the student dining space. Large windows there as well to try and bring in natural daylight. Coming then to the left with the tan with the lighter stripe, this is our gymnasium space with some exterior doors as well. And now we're getting to the backside of the K12 pod.
Yes.
The tan section coming to the left is the kindergarten area. Wrapping back around then the front of the building. Got to change the time again. So then this is the face, the front side, the State Route 201 side of the K12 pod. And then back to the main entry.
Thank you.
That was a great idea, Mr. Elam, to see that once again all the way around. It's very exciting, and I like the layout. In regards to some of the comments on YouTube, questions or mainly comments, was Miss Conley. Hopefully, I'm saying her name correctly, Diane Conley or Dana Conley. I was just wondering if you would be able to reach out to Mr. Ferks and speak with him directly. He has, as the superintendent of the schools, and two, chairman of our facilities committee, could help explain a lot of those questions that you have and your thoughts based on a lot of the discussions we've had leading up to this point. So we were not going to be able to answer all the questions tonight, but the answers are there in the data and previous minutes, but you could probably call Mr. Ferks at the school and he can answer those questions for you.
Yeah, absolutely. The number here at school is 937-845-9414. Also, my school email address is my last name, F as in Frank, IRKS, my first initial J, @ B as in boy, LSK12.org. So feel free to either give me a call here at school or you can email me at my school email address.
Excellent. Thank you. So, Mr. Ferks, I think as in the multiple conversations throughout the evening, hour and 20 minutes now into this meeting, I think our goal here is to confirm that the layout, the conceptual design of the exterior, utilizing the different materials is what we'd be looking at, and whether the committee, the facility committee, is going to recommend that as we go forward. I think I captured the key pieces. Am I right, Laura? Okay.
Sounds good.
So did you want to walk through the facilities committee to see what that stance is, and then have the recommendation, I guess?
Get a recommendation as to.
Are you speaking to me, Mr. King? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir. Sorry, I should have been more clear. So, Mr. Ferks, I was wondering for the facilities committee for this, would you poll the committee to see if they had a recommendation to bring forward to the board? I mean, no, I know we're all on here. I was just trying to make us go more procedurally in that aspect.
Do any of the facility committee members have a recommendation as far as the roof line and facade as it's presented this evening?
So can I ask a question first? This is Julie. So this, you said we're going to have more meetings though, right? It's not just going to be this, you're just asking for a general direction at this point. I mean, not that everything is exactly going to be this way and a done deal.
No, because we have a lot of details to work out. So as a general concept, in where we're heading with the design, once this is acceptable, then we're going to continue working on those design, on those concepts, on those details, and how it all works together. So if we find out that there's something that's just not working right structurally, and then we need to move something, we're going to come back and we're going to have those conversations some more.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So I think the roof should be an easy one, right? I mean, I'm for the slope. Like I said, anything's better than nothing. If we could afford more, I'd say do more. If not, I'm good with the 112. I mean, it's not a proposal or a motion or anything, right? That's not what the committee is. We just make the recommendation.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I like everything that you're showing. All looks great.
I would agree with that as well.
I would too, and the facade is very nice.
I would say move forward, and I would take Caleb's suggestion around the entryway to see if there's something we can do with the water there so we don't have flat roofs.
Yeah, I like the direction you're going. And I do like the idea of finding a darker shade to add to the wing that's coming out on the south end.
I'm not on the committee, but if I may interject, I really like what Todd was saying about that material, that if it's back on the list again, that looks like brick. I think it'd be super cool if it all looked like brick, but was way more affordable. So if you guys could check that, that'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll look into that.
I'll get a hold of Winco Construction was the one that did that job, so I'll check with them, find out what it was. I'm just curious, see if it's an option or not, but yeah, looks good.
This is Julie. I agree with that. If we can get the brick look, that would be great. I'm not sure I'm for a darker color, adding a fourth color in. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of different colors.
Well, word's gonna improve this. Yeah.
So the next steps will be, we will have a motion on our next, the Board of Education meeting,
That's right.
or for right now, excuse me, to move forward with the direction as proposed by Garvin Miller. Can I get a motion to accept that?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Sebastian Mansfield. Brendan, you want to call the roll?
All right, hold on. So next would be discussion, right? So is this where we're at, Brennan?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. All right. So this motion, as Justin had stated, Lori and Lida motioned and seconded, was based on that facilities committee discussion that you just heard. But now, any other discussion from the board members?
Julie, you were concerned with the color, and I just like to go back to what Laura had said. One of the reasons they're introducing that fourth color of the stone tones was to not make the building look so long. So I think it does serve a purpose, and you may want to rethink your position on that, or at least rethink through that.
I don't know. I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't like the length of the building already, as you know. I think it's a security concern. I still have those concerns that I think it's too long. But aside from that, if it is going to be that long, I don't know. It looks to me like if you put too many colors, it starts to look kind of hodgepodgey to me, if that's a word. You know, that I don't know. I'm okay with it. I just 4 colors is a lot. We had this problem before where we had different colors all the time. It wasn't all on the outside. I mean, the outside was pretty consistent, and that might be another reason I'm thinking that maybe a 4th is just, I don't know. I don't know, Lori. This is the first time I'm seeing it, so that's why I said it's not really a done deal at this point, right? It's just this is the direction.
Yeah, and maybe when we see actual materials like up close and in our hands, you know, I think that'll be a whole different look as well. And that wall will probably look a lot shadowy on some days and different times of the day and whatnot anyway. So part of this may be kind of counteracting that or playing into that. So, I mean, it's just a lot to think about. So until we see the real true materials, it's hard to make a call on that in particular. And I don't even think that's the decision we're making right now.
Agreed.
All right. Great discussion. I would just like to say, you know, this, as we make another motion to accept how we're moving forward with the K-5 building, you know, I can't thank our community enough for tuning in tonight, providing those comments. And if we didn't answer all your questions, there is, you can submit those. Mr. Fricks put out his email that will be brought up at the next facilities committee meeting, the answers are already readily available and he'll respond to you directly. And then help us guide as we go through this process. But, you know, can't thank enough our facilities committee and our community members that sit on that to help us move forward. And how this really is gonna, you know, look as it rolls out in the end. I like the concept and design. You know, one of the biggest things that, you know, I think is important to us in our community is the traditions of our school and the traditions of our facilities and what we do, which makes us so unique as Bethel local schools, is bringing those traditional looks from our current elementary into the new facility, so we can continue the legacies of our school district. So thank you for thinking of our community, Laura and Garmin and Miller, as you guys push forward. You know, that was one of the key elements of why I liked what you were presenting in the very beginning when we picked you. It was that ability to bring in the past with the present and future mindset. So thank you for that. And just thank you to all involved. And Brennan, I just want to say thanks for working the finances so that we could actually be here, still doing this today. And and having that ability to allow us to add those additional classrooms and set us up for future growth with the ability to do additions based on your projections and the additional last pennies we had to throw into that. So it's a big team effort, not only with our team in the community, but with our teammates that we brought on with Garmin and Miller. So those are my comments.
Mr. King, would I be able to just answer one additional question, or is this not the time to do that?
No, go right ahead.
I know one of the concerns that were brought up was in regards to the pods and the length of the building and it being spread out. Just real quick to address that, because it's popped up several times on the YouTube chat. During our discussions with Garmin Miller and also with the facility team members and the members of the building leadership team, the floor layout design was designed so that students would not have to move from one end of the building to the other. If you notice the primary floor plan, the specials areas, your art, PE, et cetera, music, were located in the central part of the building. So your different pods, whether it's K12 or the 345 pod, will only move from their pod to the center of the building, which is where those specials are are located, and then also the cafeteria being centrally located. So very, very, very rarely will students move from the K12 pod all the way across the building to the 345 pod. There won't be any need for them to move that direction.
Thank you for that additional piece as well to help the community and us. So any other discussion items? All right, Brennan, could you call the vote, please, sir?
Ms. Sebastian?
You're
Yes.
muted.
Ms. Mansfield?
Yes.
Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes.
Mr.
Yes.
All right. Well, we've hit all the benchmarks I think that we were supposed to achieve for this meeting. Would you agree, Mr. Firks?
Yes, sir.
All right. Laura, do you have any other needs in regards to this special meeting topic?
No, I don't. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right. Board members. All right. Well, I thank you all for taking time out of your day to join us, not only from the community, but from Garmin and Miller and our facility committee members for being with us today. So I would recommend a motion to adjourn the special meeting.
I'll move.
Thank you, Danny. Do we have a second?
I'll second. It's Julie.
Thank you, Julie, for the second. Any further discussion? All right, Brennan, could you call the adjournment vote?
Mr. Elam?
Yes.
Ms. Reese?
Yes.
Yes.
Ms. Sebastian?
Yes. Yes.
Ms. Mansfield?
Yes. Yes.
Mr. King?
Yes, yes. That was a yes. So, thank you. The meeting will adjourn.